Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, July 2nd, 2018. And ladies and gentlemen, sorry for such a late live stream tonight, but some things have arisen pertaining to civil war in America, something that I've been looking into for almost the past 2 years. Some valuable information coming in from Mike Adams, the health ranger, who was a guest on InfoWars. And ladies and gentlemen, I know, some of you don't like Alex Jones, you don't like InfoWars, but putting all of that aside, the information that Mike has to offer pertaining to this civil war in America, I think is very, very important for all of us to listen to, and we will get to that shortly. Over the course of the last couple of weeks, Dr. Albers and I have had a lot of people asking us about the orbital pattern of Planet X, as we call it. And we've talked about this many times before. It's pretty hard to put your finger on this actual orbital pattern or orbital path because we don't have vital information such as the space agencies, NASA, the European space agencies. I wish we did, folks. We could only go on observations that we've been making over the last several years. I put together a short video. I think it's about 10 minutes long, and I will narrate through it, and it's going to go over some information about this this orbital path. And I drew a diagram so we could get a better perspective of how this object rotates and orbits around our sun, and our theory on how long it takes. Because, folks, the way that we are observing this, it doesn't seem that it takes this object very long to make an orbit, one complete orbit around the sun, possibly anywhere from 25 to 28 days. It may be more, it may be less. We still have to look into it. But I'm going to go ahead and play this because there's also some information here on chemtrailing that I observed the other day. And while I was videotaping this, a gentleman in the parking lot stopped me and knew exactly what I was doing. But we're going to go ahead and get into this because we also have a new capture from June 21st. The data just came in yesterday. I was taking a look at it. I posted one of the pictures on the Planet X News Facebook page for everybody to take a look at. And, it's kind of a weird shape, but we will get into that here real shortly. I'm going to go ahead and play this, and I'll narrate through it for you. Now, I was going to convert this into just a regular video, but there's a lot of information here. So this is basically what I've drawn up. And you can see the one object right here labeled X, as in Planet X. We have our sun showing the rotational pattern. And this would kind of be a top view of this object. I wish I could have converted this into a 3D model so I can, turn it around a little bit and show you. But as the sun makes its rotation, now let me go ahead and go back here. As the sun makes its rotation, this object is also orbiting the sun. It's kind of it's not completely circular, similar to the Earth's orbit, and we can see very clearly that it does get very, very close to the sun, because we can say that based on observational evidence, the photographs that we've captured over the last couple of years. We know this object is there. There are probably smaller objects orbiting around, well, let's just call it Nemesis, or, Planet X, we're pretty sure that there are smaller objects. Whether they be dead stars, small brown dwarfs, we really don't know. But we do know for a fact that these objects exist. They are interacting with the sun. And we are seeing extreme conditions here on planet Earth. Going back a couple of years ago, I was warning people. So were a lot of other people in the truth community. Warning all of us, warning all of you, what the impending disasters would be like. Extreme weather, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and something of very importance that is being created: civil unrest. The civil unrest is a well-organized plan. At least that's the way I think. It is a way for governments to increase policing, possibly martial law, possibly the influx of UN troops. It's a very scary situation, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you want to believe it or not, things are playing out each and every day right in front of you. If you're not watching, then you better start watching. You better start asking more questions if you're not sure about something. I'm here to help, the same as Dr. Albers. We do get a tremendous amount of emails and inbox messages, and it's kind of hard to keep up with all of it. But we do try to get back to each and every one of you as fast as possible. But this orbital path, or let's just say the way that Planet X rotates around the sun, we've seen it in different positions over the course of the last 2 years. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll just start this video and we'll let it play out. And we have plenty of observational evidence, folks. This photographic capture was on November 30th, 2017. I publicized this, and once again, the proof is right in front of your eyes. You can also see what looks to be a smaller object, possibly another one here. So there may definitely be smaller objects orbiting around this massive monster lurking out in the solar system. This image here was captured back in, I believe, either June or July of 2017 on the LASCO coronagraph. This photograph here I captured on the SDO, clearly showing a striped object, and to be honest with you folks, that object is rather large. Once again, coming from the SDO last year, late last year, you can see this object. It's kind of towards the top left-hand side, possibly the 10 o'clock position on the sun. Once again, to the right of the sun, captured on SDO. You can clearly see this object right here. That object, in comparison to the sun, is absolutely massive. Going back to 2007, this video footage was captured on stereo behind Core 2. The stereo behind spacecraft is supposedly not in operation anymore. It's basically just a rogue spacecraft floating aimlessly out in space, but we don't believe that. This video footage was heavily scrutinized, heavily trolled, and it was also claimed to have been the moon. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've analyzed this footage for the last 2 years as it was exposed, and there's no way that it could be the moon. Debunkers will go on and on and on with their story till hell freezes over. That's actually where they belong. But getting back to more SDO footage, again, clearly showing a massive spherical object coming up over the sun at about the 10 o'clock position. Once again, another great observation and capture. The object is clearly there next to the sun. How close it is to the actual camera, that's hard to say. And then just recently, back in May 2018, this object appears on the stereo ahead coronagraph. So, as I say, folks, there's plenty of observational evidence. Now, just the other day, June 24th, this object appears on a coronagraph, the Core 2, and very suspicious of this object, folks. It's just not normally going to appear. I'm still analyzing the photograph. There was a lot of interference with the spacecraft. This was again during and after a small CME ejection, and it kind of clouds things a little bit. It's got that static interference within the coronagraph's picture. But again, how would you expect something like that to be in this picture if it wasn't there? You know, I tried converting the photographs over to a higher definition, but because of the initial interference from the coronal mass ejection, that does affect the camera systems and the detectors on the stereo spacecraft. Now, let's get into this chemtrailing. Just the other day, I did a short video. I was at my office, happened to walk outside, and lo and behold, there's this massive sun halo in the sky. I started taking some photographs of it, and earlier in the morning, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, the skies were crystal clear. It looked good. There were no chemtrail planes in the sky, and went into work doing my day-to-day, and came outside a few hours later. I think it was around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I could see the chemtrail planes just blitzkrieging the entire sky. So I had my cell phone with me. I decided to start recording, and the halo kind of faintly disappeared, but within a matter of 15 minutes, they had the sky completely covered in this chemtrail haze, as I will call it. Now, a lot of you know and understand that we are under massive heat waves in certain parts of the country right now. Where I live on the East Coast in the city of Pittsburgh, the heat wave just started hitting today, and it's going to be here for probably 4 or 5 days. Heat indexes well over 100 degrees. Big problems out in the state of Michigan with heat indexes of 107 and roads literally buckling from the extreme heat. But this is the video that I recorded just yesterday. And I mean, there you go, folks. I mean, I went from crystal clear skies. You can see a chemtrail plane right up here at the top. Let me go ahead and stop this real quick. You can see this chemtrail plane is streaking across the sky. I didn't even notice this whenever I was taking the video, because the intensity of the sun, the heat, was so intense that I could feel my face burning. Once again, I don't believe that this is the actual sun. I believe this is the sun simulator. The magnification, the amount of heat coming from this was so intense that the few minutes that I recorded, I went back into my office and my face was burning. literally burning. And that was only for just a few minutes. So when people tell you that there is no such thing as a chemtrail plane or chemtrails don't exist, oh my dear Lord, you know, you just want to kind of just slap them upside of the head and tell them to, you know, come down here to reality and look up, because there is no other way to explain what they're doing to the skies around the world. Now, something that you'll notice is that the so-called sun up here, once again, it's like a crystal colored white. So when have you ever known the sun to be shining in the sky and looking like a white spotlight? The chemtrailing definitely obscures your view. There's still a lot to learn about this sun simulator and the chemtrailing. I can tell you this much. There's no doubt in my mind that going back to 2017, they must have invented another way, another dispersion method for the chemtrails, or different compounds. Because if all of you remember, and if you've been following chemtrails over the years, the way that they sprayed them before, those chemtrails were thick. You know, they kind of dispersed into larger gray colored cloud formations, if you want to call it that. Since 2017, whenever they spray these chemicals in the sky, it creates a lighter, more hazy effect in the sky. It disperses very, very rapidly if you watch a chemtrail being dispersed from the beginning to the end when the plane disappears. Give it about 15 to 30 minutes, and this is the effect that you see in the sky. You know, are they truly trying to deflect solar radiation back out into space? You know, folks, I don't think we really know enough about what they're doing to even say that as being a positive. We probably will never know, but we do know it is happening. They are doing it. They've been doing it for a long period of time. As their technology gets better, well, this is what we look at just about every single day in the skies above. I'll go ahead and click on this and let it play. So you could see the chemtrail plane streaking across the sky high above. There's no doubt they are adding to what is already up there. As I was recording this, a gentleman pulled up in a large flatbed tow truck, and there's an Exxon gas station near my office, and he had parked, and he saw me videotaping up in the sky. He came right over to me, and he says, "Hey, buddy," he goes, "Are you videotaping that junk up there in the sky?" And, you know, I stopped the video because, number one, you know, I didn't know who this guy was. Number two, me not paying attention to a complete stranger approaching me for my own personal safety and security, well, that's a no-no. So I actually stopped the video, and I had a 15-minute conversation with this guy. And he was from Ohio. He's a tow truck driver, owns his own business, and he started telling me about what he observes in the skies right over the border from Pennsylvania in Ohio. So this isn't the first time this has happened to me. Not too long ago, I was videotaping out in front of my office, and a priest in full uniform, if you want to call it that, you know, he says to me, "Hey, son, "What are you videotaping?" And I looked over at him and I said, "Well, these chemtrails." "Oh, yeah, those lines in the sky. I wonder why they do that. I've been noticing that for years." And then we had a conversation. And then, I mentioned to all of you in our last live stream about me wearing my chemtrail t-shirts and being stopped in Walmart 3 times in just one shopping visit, discussing what is happening. Folks, this heat wave that we're under here on the East Coast and out in the Midwest, this is very dangerous. I warned people the other day, hey, try to stay out of this sun. Sunbathing, just forget about it. It's very dangerous. Now, a really good friend of mine posted on Facebook that he was taking the kids out to a local swimming pool. And the kids are, 10, 11, 12 years old. And with the intensity of the sun today, the UV ratings through the roof, I immediately sent him an inbox message and I said, hey, listen, please be very careful out there in the sun today. The UV rating is off the chart, and severe burns, severe sunburn can occur. Just get back to this chemtrail here. And he said, "Oh yeah, I got the proper stuff for the kids to wear, and we're not going to be out there very long. Sunburn lotion, sunblock, whatever you want to call it, folks. I don't know. With the intensity of the UV, I don't think it works." So, lo and behold, around 7 o'clock this evening, I get another inbox message from my buddy and telling me how much he wished that he would have paid attention to what I said. He inboxed me photographs of the 2 boys, and they were burnt to hell. Sunburned absolutely horribly on their backs, and the one little boy has a really, really close crew cut, almost like a shaved head, and his whole entire top of his head is sunburned. My buddy and his wife, they're both sunburned, and he works down at a steel mill in Pittsburgh. He works for U.S. Steel. He works up on top of what they call the battery. Temperatures for him about 120 to 135 degrees. And when he goes back to work tomorrow, I'm telling you right now, he's going to be miserable in that heat at work, plus with that sunburn. So folks, as we get deeper and deeper into the summer, I don't think that there is going to be much relief as far as heat and very high temperatures. So if you have the little kids out there, or even yourself, try to protect yourself. Prolonged exposure to these ultraviolet rays and the intensity of this sun simulator, because I'm telling you, that is not the sun. It is not the sun. People can argue with me all day long. They can argue with me till they are blue in the face. And at that point in time, I hope you pass out and you come to the realization that we're right. It's not the sun that you're looking at. Something weird happened the other day. I was outside. It was about 8 p.m. By 8 p.m., the direction that I'm looking at from my driveway, it shows me the sunset. But the sunset's kind of past me a little bit. I can't really see the sun going down. At 8 o'clock at night, 8 p.m., that object, the sun simulator, the sun, was still very high up in the sky. I looked down at my cell phone and I said to myself, wow, it's 8 p.m. The sun should not be up there. I should not be able to see it from where I'm at. But I did. I checked the time on my cell phone and my vehicle was right there. I went to my car, I put the key in, I turned it, the time came on. It was 8:02. So how is that possible? I walked inside of my house, set my wallet, my keys down, thought to myself, this cannot be possible. I walked back outside 15 minutes later, and that bright, burning object in the sky that we refer to as the sun, it was now gone. So the very next day, I wanted to see at 8 p.m. where the positioning of this object would be. Did I make a mistake? Was I seeing things? Absolutely not. So the very next day, I went outside, I looked up exactly 8 o'clock. There was no sun in the sky, just a little bit of an orange cast over the horizon. I had absolutely no view of that object that we refer to as the sun. So how is that possible? Within 24 hours, I mean, how is that possible? Again, mistakes are being made in the sky above. We showed you video in our last live stream that was captured by Gina out in the state of Indiana. What looks to be two suns is, in actuality, the sun simulator and our real sun in its setting. Meaning the sun was setting and it looked like the sun simulator was out of sync with our normal sun. I do believe that we're going to see more and more of this because it's not the first time that someone has videotaped a very good video of what is referred to as two suns. So, I'm going to go ahead and jump out of this this video here. And I want to jump over to what is happening here in the United States and what possibly could occur in other countries. I've been keeping my eye very closely on this so-called impending civil war in America. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you watch the news and you follow certain things on social media, you will clearly see the dynamics of what is occurring, and it's very alarming. It is also very, very dangerous. I'm very concerned. In 2016, I mentioned many, many times that the stage has been set. As time goes on, the New World Order plan, if you want to call it that, the deep state plan, the globalist plan, I'm sure they have one. But at the same time, they are seeing what is happening and they are creating more situations. Just let me say that. They are seeing how their plan is working and they are adjusting that plan. We're seeing demonstrations once again picking up full steam across the United States and in several other European countries. The UK is one of them. What is happening here in the United States is really fishy, if you ask me. Last year, when a lot of police officers were shot and killed, this whole Blue Lives Matter started. They wanted you to be in support of police departments across the country. Now, all of a sudden, we see all of these police shootings of unarmed individuals, and it happens on a daily basis. I study the information consistently every single day. I actually run another Facebook page called Above the Law. It details all of these police shooting videos up to date as they happen across the United States. We have a situation that started last week here in the Pittsburgh area with the shooting of an unarmed young black kid, Antoine Rose, shot 3 times in the back, fleeing a police officer on the east end of Pittsburgh. There have been non-stop protests. Now it seems that there is this massive backlash against policing, police departments. It's not only happening here in Pittsburgh, folks, it's happening across the United States and in several European countries. And the way that I'm seeing it, it is like this. First, they wanted you to support Blue Lives Matter. Now, they're wanting to crucify these police officers in these types of shootings, creating racial divides in major metropolitan cities. Now, without getting into the complete case of Antoine Rose, they've been demonstrating every single day here in the Pittsburgh area. They have arrested the police officer. They have charged him with homicide. But under the circumstances, if you actually read the law, the Pennsylvania law, a fleeing suspect that was just involved in a felony, because this was related to a drive-by shooting of another individual, the police officer does have the right to shoot at a fleeing felon. Now, I don't agree with that, but that is how the law states. The mayor of Pittsburgh is crucifying this police officer, and the media is also crucifying this police officer. They are holding demonstrations and protests in front of his house and all over the city, shutting down highways, shutting down roadways and crossways every single day since this has occurred. A magistrate that was overseeing the arraignment of this police officer granted him bond, unsecured bond. Now, that does go against Pennsylvania law, and this magistrate has come under fire for allowing this police officer to be released on $250,000 unsecured bond. Once again, creating this massive divide. The city of Pittsburgh right now is on the breaking point of an all-out racial, against the police, against government, its own little internal civil war. I want all of you to listen very carefully to what Mike Adams has to say. Mike Adams, the health ranger. He is also the founder of our new video platform, Real.video. We talked about that just a few days ago, that we're going to be moving Planet X News to Real.video, and we were invited to join Mike Adams on his new platform, and we are going to do just that. Hopefully, they may be rolling things out as early as the 4th of July. How ironic. Independence from censorship. Now, Mike was offered a guest spot to fill in for Alex Jones on InfoWars. And this this video just popped up, and I was listening to it, and the heading, "The Coming Civil War Will Be a Three-Front Battle." Listen, ladies and gentlemen, you have to keep an eye out around you everywhere you go. I mentioned the other day that while Dr. Albers and I were in my local Walmart, never in my life have I ever seen a Somali African population where I live. And if you're not familiar with what goes on in Somalia and who the bad people are in that country, investigate it. Take a look at it. But all of a sudden, in the course of just the last 2 weeks, our area has been flooded with all of these Somalians in southwestern Pennsylvania. How did they get here? When did they get here? I mean, we've never had that type of population from that country where I live. Now, all of a sudden, they're everywhere. Now, granted, this is America, land of the free. It is a massive melting pot. But understanding what goes on in Somalia, the same thing is applying to Central America, Mexico, and the Middle East. So if these people are being brought to this country as so-called immigrants, do we know that much about them? How in the hell is it that these large groups just decided to settle in southwestern Pennsylvania? I mean, you can't tell me that people from Somalia know where southwestern Pennsylvania is and what a great place it would be to take hundreds, if not thousands of them and settle them right in the south part of the city of Pittsburgh. Do you see my point? I mean, that's like you waking up one morning and going down to your local coffee shop, and all of a sudden, everybody speaks German, or everybody speaks French, or everybody speaks Italian, or an Arabic language. And you're like, wow, where did all of you come from? When did you get here? How did you get here? Why did you come here? So it seems to me that the stages are being set. And it was kind of ironic that Mike's video on InfoWars came up, and I listened to it, and it shook me to the core. And it really made me think. And I'm still thinking. What are we going to have to do? We know that there are major threats within our solar system that have been covered up for more than maybe 50 years. We know that there is an extraterrestrial alien life cover-up. We've known that. If you don't believe that there is life outside of our planet and our solar system, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to think again. Tons of evidence out there. If you don't think that globalists or a deep state exist, or a new world order, if you don't think that these entities exist, folks, please stop and think again. It is time for us to stand up for our rights as human beings, because they are being stripped away. I want to take the last few minutes of our live stream here tonight. I want you to listen very carefully to what Mike has to say. It is very important. He's not making it up. There are facts based behind what he's saying. And these things, these protests, these deep state actions are taking place. They are occurring. Forget about Donald Trump, and his presidency. I like Donald as a character. He may or may not be involved in what is transpiring. He may just be a pawn. We already know that the President of the United States really doesn't rule over this land. There's much more behind closed doors. But he is raising some eyebrows. He is causing a ton of frustration within the Democratic Party here in the United States. So I'm still teetering back and forth on, what is real, what is truth, what is actually happening with American politics. It's a circus. And that may be a distraction for all of us. Something we have to keep in mind. But I'm coming to the belief, ladies and gentlemen, that in this country, you really and truly are not free. You do have freedoms, but boy, they're pulling that noose really, really tight. We see the false flags to take back your guns. We see the rope tightening on freedom of speech. There are protests around the globe, and now protests about eliminating immigration, ICE, Border Patrol agents. Why? Mike's going to tell you. Mike is going to tell you. So let's take a listen. You'll find this very interesting.
But I've got something else to say first. I've been thinking about how this civil war is shaping up in America, and I've come to the conclusion that it's going to be a three-front war. So I want to share this with you to get you thinking about how this works and what this might look like, because depending on where you are in America, you're going to be called upon to, I think, fight on a different front to defend America in the coming civil war. And by the way, according to a Rasmussen poll, now 31% of likely U.S. voters believe that there will be a second civil war in the next 5 years. That's a shocking poll, from the point of view of many people who haven't been paying attention to this. But to you and I and Alex and others, we know this is coming. So that's not shocking to us at all. But I see this happening on three fronts. I think first, when the Civil War breaks out, you're going to have the initiation of kinetic warfare, the attempted door-to-door mass executions carried out by radical left-wing Antifa members and other domestic terrorists, also known as Democrats, radical leftists. They're going to go door-to-door. They're going to try to execute all of their political enemies because they haven't been able to shut us all down through censorship. So they're going to try to do it with, machetes and firearms, whatever it takes. Remember, one of their groups is called, I think, By Any Means Necessary. That's the name of their group. And that's what they believe, by any means necessary. They want to kill you. I think that we're going to have California, the left coast of California, will be one of the hubs of the radical left-wing Antifa terrorist attempts to start branching out and sweeping through different cities to try to take down Trump supporters and take down conservatives. I see in response to that, rural Californians and rural Oregonians, for example, and people in rural Washington, Eastern Washington or Eastern California, Northern California, resisting that and actually having some organized pro-patriot, pro-America groups resisting the terrorism and the violence of Antifa and actually having kinetic engagements in California. The fight for Sacramento, for example, might be one of the battlegrounds for California. And Sacramento is, not that close to San Francisco. There could be quite a war for Sacramento. There could be wars for Portland, wars for Seattle. There's going to be a lot of kinetic warfare out there on the West Coast. The southern border is going to be flooded with an activated wave of illegal invading foreign nationals who are of military age. The left-wing media will call them unaccompanied minors. They will be men who are 19, 20, 21 years old, like those that the New York Times recently called, children who were separated from their mothers. No, These are adult military-age men coming into the United States for a purpose, and they will sweep across the border. So those of you who are in Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, and especially Texas, you will be tasked with stopping this invasion, this military invasion and occupation attempt along the southern border. At the same time this is happening, I can see the United Nations now bringing in occupying troops all along the East Coast, because that's closer to, it's easier flights from Europe, where a lot of these troops will come from. And it's also close to the power centers of Washington, D.C., Virginia, Wall Street, New York City, and so on. East Coast patriots will be tasked with eliminating the invading enemy occupying force of United Nations troops. So that's a three-front war for America. West Coast, you got the domestic terrorists, Antifa, radical anti-American leftists. Southern border, you've got patriots who are trying to stop the human wave of invading military-aged men who are trying to overthrow this country. East Coast, you got to push back United Nations troops who are invading enemy occupying forces organized by the, illegal forces in Europe who want to destroy sovereignty in terms of nations. Now, fortunately, those of you who are up near Canada, we're not going to be at war with Canadians, thank goodness, because we don't need that. Canadians are probably going to support a lot of our efforts too. Canadians don't want America to fall to globalists, not the informed Canadians. They don't want America to be overrun with, dangerous criminals from Central and South America who are military-aged young men who just want to overthrow and loot entire countries and turn America into basically a slum, which is often, in many cases, the kind of country they've come from, countries that have been transformed into slums. And Canada doesn't want Canada to be next on the list. Then Canada would have to defend its border, and we know that Canadian politicians are spineless cowards who will never defend their own borders as well. So Canada wants America to survive this as well. But think about this. Now, I mean, these are projections. These are not, I'm not saying 100% that this is how it's going to happen. These are projections, and hopefully none of this happens. But with now 31% of the country seeing a civil war taking place in the next 5 years, and now radical left-wing groups demanding that we dismantle our border protection, demanding the complete disarmament of American citizens, the absolute nationwide gun confiscation from the American people. You think about what they want for America, we know, and I tell you this, I share this with you today. If you love America, and you support who, as an American citizen, will be called upon to contribute to that defense. Be ready mentally, be ready in your spirit, in your soul, and be ready with whatever preparedness gear that you need to help defend this nation, because America is worth defending. We'll be right back here on the Alex Jones Show.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I think this was a very, very important message by Mike Adams on InfoWars. And again, ladies and gentlemen, you may or may not agree. Excuse me. You may not agree with everything that Alex Jones talks about on InfoWars. I do watch his program quite frequently. This is the first time I've seen Mike Adams hosting the show. This was a very, very important message. This is something to actually fear. I've always said, don't be scared, be prepared. And as we actually look upon what is transpiring, well, it is time to be prepared. If you don't follow Mike Adams on his Health Ranger channel on YouTube, you should. You should start learning a little bit more about, well, so-called prepping. I myself, I've taken considerable measures, and, over the course of this last year, I have been, well, helping Dr. Albers understand more about what can possibly happen in this country. Water filtration is number one, along with self-protection. Having some type of water filtration system is a must. I've already instituted that in my own home. There's a company out there called Berkey, Berkey. They have countertop water filtration systems that you could actually take anywhere. The filters last for 10 years. They're not that expensive. You could use that filtration system to bottle your own water. I've already done that. I have 100 gallons already of purified water. Not bottled water, water I've purified myself using that Berkey system. Protecting yourself, protecting your family, protecting your land. These are going to become key. You know, I don't really like to talk about fear because fear can get in the way of protecting yourself and your family. The more information you know about, the more information you have, I refer to it as knowledge. And as I have said before, knowledge is power. Having the knowledge of what is happening out there in our solar system, what is happening within your country, what is happening within your city, what is happening within your neighborhood. That knowledge becomes your power. That power crushes that fear. Let's just hope and pray that this type of civil war never occurs in this country, but we are leading up to it. There is a globalist agenda. There is a deep state agenda. It does not include me or you. That's a fact. Very scary times that we're living in, ladies and gentlemen. We shouldn't have to walk around fearing everything around us. But that's what they want. They want you to be scared. They want you to be afraid. They want you to run to your government officials for protection. Ladies and gentlemen, that will be the last place that I run for protection. That much is a fact. On a quick closing note, folks, our Planet X online store. A lot of people have purchased the Chemtrail shirts, and that's a fantastic thing. That opens up the conversation when people see what you're wearing and they ask you about it. It's been working for me. I've got countless inbox messages and emails thanking me and Dr. Albers for creating the shirts. They're like walking billboards. A few hours ago, I added a new design to the Planet X online store. Chemtrails Death from Above t-shirt. It comes in men's and a ladies design. It also has a logo on the back. Chemtrails Kill. The front logo, I love it. Looks really, really good. There you go, a close-up of it. And the link is in the description box under all of our videos. You could go to the Planet X News store and check it out. $21.99. That's the cost of the shirt with shipping and handling. I did design another one here. Let's take a look at it real quick. Here's our blue one. Same thing. Chemtrails. If you don't alert the masses, who will? This logo is on the front. And on the back, I've taken a slogan from Richie from Boston. We do not consent. And let's just face it, ladies and gentlemen, that's the truth. Who in the hell would consent to the governments spraying us with deadly chemicals on a daily basis and clouding the skies above with noxious chemicals? It's just disgusting. So those two shirts are brand new. They are on the Planet X News online store, and I already ordered mine. Mine is on the way. I'll have it in about 7 days, and I will continue to wear these shirts everywhere I go because it does create awareness. It does strike up that conversation. I'm going to go ahead real quick, and I'll put the link in the description box, and I will also put it in the live chat here real quick. And if you guys feel that purchasing one of the shirts, there's a whole bunch of them here. There's a white one here. A lot of them have logos on the front and the back. And I'll add some more up there. There's ones for Dr. Albers, Planet X physicist. And again, folks, all of the shirts come in a ladies' style and a men's style. We have to do something, folks. We have to continue to heighten that awareness, create that conversation. And, you know, just like the tow truck driver walking up to me in the parking lot, asking me, you know, hey, are you filming that junk in the sky? Absolutely, that's what I'm doing. I gave him the name of my YouTube channel and our website, and I also told him to check us out on Facebook. Earlier this morning, he had inboxed me when he was back in Ohio, and we had a little chat conversation. So that's how it's working, folks. The more awareness, the better. I also want to thank a lot of you that have sent in, just beautiful emails and inbox messages thanking Dr. Albers and I for everything that we do. And I'll be honest, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to thank either one of us for what we do. We are just like each and every one of you. We're just normal people. But we have a thirst for the truth and a passion for human beings. What we deserve. It's that plain and simple. So with that saying, I'm going to go ahead and end our live stream. I ask that you share our videos with your friends and your family members on social media. Give them a chance to see and learn what you know and help them along. This is Scott from Planet X News. Thank you for watching.